The Himalayas stood tall. They pierced the sky. Their peaks were capped with snow. They were ancient and powerful. The mountains watched over the land. They were the guardians of the sky. Rivers flowed from their icy heights. They carried life to the plains below. Villages nestled in the valleys. People lived simple lives. They revered the mountains. The Himalayas were more than just mountains. They were sacred. They were a symbol of strength and permanence. Sage Durvasa was a wise man, known far and wide for his deep understanding of the natural world and the mysteries of life. His wisdom was sought by many, but he chose to live a life of simplicity and solitude. He lived a simple life, free from the distractions of the material world. His days were filled with meditation, tending to his small garden and observing the world around him. He believed that true wisdom came from understanding the subtle rhythms of nature. His home was a small hut built with his own hands. It was a place of peace and reflection where he could connect with the essence of the earth and sky. It was nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas, surrounded by towering peaks and lush forests. The majestic mountains stood as silent guardians, watching over the sage and his humble abode. Durvasa observed the world around him with a keen eye. He noticed the smallest changes in the environment, the subtle shifts in the wind, and the delicate balance of the ecosystem. He saw the changing seasons, each bringing its own beauty and challenges. He felt the winds, gentle and soothing in the spring, harsh and biting in the winter. He listened to the rivers flow, their melodies a constant reminder of the cycle of life. The rivers were the lifeblood of the land, nourishing the plants and animals that depended on them. But recently he noticed something unusual. The seasons were changing too quickly, as if nature itself was in a hurry. The usual patterns were disrupted, and the harmony he had always known was slipping away. The winds were becoming erratic, no longer following their predictable paths. They were wild and unpredictable, causing chaos in the once serene landscape. They were no longer gentle breezes that whispered through the trees. Instead, they had turned into fierce gales, bending the trees and stripping the leaves from their branches. They were turning into raging storms, bringing destruction and fear. The once calm and predictable weather had become a source of anxiety and concern. Durvasa knew something was wrong. His deep connection with nature told him that these changes were not natural. There was a disturbance, a shift in the balance that he could not ignore. He felt a disturbance in the balance of nature, a sense of impending trouble that weighed heavily on his heart. The sage knew he had to find the cause of this imbalance and restore harmony to the world he loved so dearly. Durvasa decided to act. He had spent countless nights pondering the imbalance that plagued the land. The once fertile valleys were now barren, and the rivers that once flowed with life had dried up. The people were suffering, and the animals were disappearing. Durvasa knew that he could not stand by and watch the world crumble around him. He had to do something, and he had to do it now. He knew he had to restore balance. The mountains, ancient and wise, held the secrets of the earth. They had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the ebb and flow of nature's cycles. Durvasa believed that if he could reach the highest peak, he might find the answers he sought. The journey would be perilous, but he was prepared to face any challenge. He decided to climb the mountains. The path was treacherous, with jagged rocks and steep inclines. Each step was a test of his resolve, but he pressed on. The higher he climbed, the more he felt the weight of his mission. The air grew colder, and the wind howled around him, but he did not falter. He wanted to seek answers from the mountains themselves. He believed that the ancient spirits of the mountains would guide him, that they would reveal the wisdom he needed to restore balance to the land. As he climbed, he whispered prayers to the spirits, asking for their guidance and protection. His journey was long and arduous. He climbed for days. The air grew thinner, the paths became steeper, his muscles ached and his breath came in ragged gasps. But he did not give up. He knew that the fate of the land depended on his success. He could not afford to fail. His spirit did not waver. He drew strength from the thought of the people and creatures who depended on him. He remembered the faces of the children who looked up to him with hope, the elders who had entrusted him with this mission. Their faith in him fueled his determination. He was determined to reach the summit. He knew that the answers he sought were within his grasp. The summit was a symbol of his resolve, a testament to his unwavering spirit. He pushed himself harder, ignoring the pain and fatigue that threatened to overwhelm him. He knew the fate of the land rested on his shoulders. The weight of his responsibility was immense, but he bore it with grace. He understood that his journey was not just for himself, but for all those who called the land their home. He was their beacon of hope, their last chance for salvation. Finally, he reached the highest peak. The view from the top was breathtaking. He could see the entire land stretched out before him, a patchwork of beauty and chaos. The sight filled him with a sense of awe and responsibility. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he had taken the first crucial step. He stood before the sky. The vast expanse above him seemed to hold the answers he sought. He raised his arms in supplication, asking the heavens for guidance. He felt a connection to the earth and sky, a sense of unity with the universe. The world stretched out beneath him. He could see the rivers winding through the valleys, the forests that blanketed the hills, the villages that dotted the landscape. It was a sight of incredible beauty and terrible chaos. He knew that he had to find a way to restore harmony to this fractured world. It was a sight of incredible beauty and terrible chaos. The mountains had given him a new perspective, a deeper understanding of the challenges that lay ahead. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to see his mission through to the end. The journey had just begun, but he was ready to face whatever came next. A dance that would restore balance to the world and bring peace to the heavens and the earth. Section 5. The Heartbeat of the Earth. Durvasa swung the axe. He struck the mountain's peak. The sound echoed through the valleys. It was a sound that shook the world. As he chipped away at the mountaintops, something amazing happened. The mountains began to move. They trembled, they shifted, they groaned. They were no longer inanimate objects, they were alive. Durvasa realized he hadn't harmed the mountains, he had awakened them. He had given them a heartbeat. They were now part of the living, breathing earth. Section 6. A symphony of life. The transformation was incredible. The mountains swayed gently. They moved to the rhythm of the earth. The chaotic winds calmed. They became gentle breezes. They danced around the mountains. The seasons returned to their natural order. They were no longer erratic and unpredictable. They flowed seamlessly from one to another. The land flourished. The villages prospered. The rivers flowed with renewed vigor. They carried life-giving water to the plains. The transformation was complete. Balance was restored. Section 7. The wisdom of change. Durvasa had changed the mountains forever, but he had also changed himself. He learned a valuable lesson. He learned about the power of balance. He learned about the necessity of change. He learned that even the mightiest beings must adapt. He descended the mountains a wiser man. He carried the story of the mountain's transformation in his heart. He shared this story with everyone he met. Section 8. Balance in all things. The story of Sage Durvasa and the mountains teaches us an important lesson. It teaches us about the importance of balance. Just like the mountains, we too must strive for balance in our lives. We must not let our ambitions and desires disrupt the natural order. We must respect nature. We must live in harmony with the world around us. We must remember that change is inevitable. It is the only constant in life. We must embrace change and adapt to it. Section 9. The legacy of Durvasa. Sage Durvasa's legacy lived on. His story was passed down through generations. It became a tale whispered on the wind. It was a reminder of the power of balance. It was a testament to the wisdom of change. The Himalayas continued to sway. They danced to the rhythm of the earth. They stood as a symbol of transformation. They were a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things.